I will say, in December, everything started to pick up a little bit. Those interest rates came down just a little and the energy shifted. Y'all felt it, and we're still feeling it. We have not had this many listings pitched at a meeting in at least a year. Yeah, it's a good thing. So I'm gonna start this by saying, let's take advantage of that right now. Because I think we got about 6 months where we're gonna be on fire and have the opportunity to make as much money and close as many deals as you want to.
Woo!
Yeah.
I like as much money.
Yep. And then we're gonna have some interesting times. Yay. So, here we go. Oh, are we on? So here's how it's different, and this was really interesting last night, so again, I didn't know anybody in the audience, and they're not a group of people who listens to stats or projections typically, even though their livelihood comes from our industry. So everything I had to say, while it's like boring and not new to you guys, was completely new to them, so that kind of felt good. But I had a woman come up at the end and goes, that was really good, but I don't feel good. So I will say there's a little bit of that too. The one thing you get with me is this isn't fluff, this is reality, right? How's the world doing right now? There's a few adjectives I just heard. None of them more joyful, light. So we've got to look at what's going on globally. And I did not put slides in here with a ton of detail. I'm just going to verbally bullet point it for you. Geopolitically, it's a very complicated time. And all of those things that are happening continents away from us impact us and involve us in a lot of ways. Okay, I told Sarah a few months ago, I'm like, don't watch the news, I'll tell you everything you need to know. I want to be the filter for you all because it doesn't feel good. And yet, as a business owner who feels responsible for all of you, I feel like I need to know what's going on, so I do watch it. I'll let you know what you need to know, as far as your businesses go. But that's going to continue to unfold over this next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. One of the things that occurred to me over the break, in 2020, one of the great things is that we all on the globe were experiencing the exact same thing. We're seeing it from a different window, but we were all locked down. We all were forced to wear masks. We were all forced to change things globally. It was a level playing field in a lot of ways. Would you all agree with that?
Yes.
And we didn't know. All the unknowns also leveled the playing field. Right now, I feel globally it's kind of the same. It doesn't matter if you're liberal, if you're middle line, if you're right wing, everybody thinks everybody else is fucked up and crazy. So we may have different perspectives, but we're all experiencing the same thing. And when there's that much fear and uncertainty at a global level, how are we not going to feel it here? Does that make sense? Yeah. And when things are uneasy or unsure, what do human beings do? Well, there's three things we might do: fight, flight, or freeze. And the majority of us freeze. I remember being a kid. Has anybody ever had one of those experiences where that was tested? Where you figured out what you are, fight, flight, or flee? Yeah? Mine was being attacked by geese. I was about 5.
Sorry for laughing at your trauma.
You fought a goose?
I froze. And I was pecked like you would believe.
That's a legitimate fear.
And literally, an adult had to come get me, and I can feel it, like right now, I'm that little 5-year-old. And that's what a lot of people do when the globe is unsteady. I learned to fight after that. But if you walk with me, Evie especially, if I see geese, I'm 48 years old, I'm still traumatized, I will go around the park.
Or Ashley will punch a goose.
All right, nationally, this is going to be the weirdest election year we've ever had, and every presidential election year is weird. This one's going to be a doozy. It's already lining up to be a doozy. And again, I want everybody to stay curious and open to possibility, because it does not matter if you are Democrat, Republican, or Independent, everybody's going, what the hell? We all have the same opinion, just a different perspective. Very, very interesting time. The economy, weird time. How many of you paid under $4.10 for a gallon of gas in the last month? I was so excited this week. I was like, is that right? Is that right?
What? Under
Under $4.06. I paid $4.08 this week. I'm in East County. It's still been $5.80. The economy is actually doing really well. It's really healthy, but not everybody's feeling that in the same way. Guess what? That's called the United States. Follow me. So the majority of people don't feel when the economy improves because it doesn't improve for the majority of people. But it doesn't mean it's not improving. Now, with us, where we're at, we tend to feel it a little bit more than some of the more rural states and the poorer states. Like, we're seeing people buy more because the interest rates came down just a little bit. We just needed a little bit of that easing. Anybody in this room starving, literally starving right now? There was some good food. But we can't get consensus to say the economy's better. Every piece of evidence says we avoided the big recession and we're in a better spot. But it doesn't feel like that to a lot of the country. So that goes into the psychology. Statewide, how many of you, like me, almost always file an extension on your taxes? All right, so tax day for us, normal people, is October 15th. So the state of California, on October 15th this last year, extended the tax date to November 15th. They didn't even give CPAs the heads up till that day. So what happened was, all of the income from income taxes that the state usually has to fuel its coffers for the next year got delayed. And so that, coupled with the fact that income tax in general has taken a hit, we've had a lot of high income earners move out of the Bay Area and out of state. We're at a $68 billion deficit for 2024 in the state of California. With a B.
That's not normal.
That's just the state. So it's just something to be aware of. Will there be impacts of that? Yes. Again, probably not us. It's probably on the demographics who don't earn as much as we do. Our unemployment rate is really good still. However, it's the highest in the United States. 4.8% in the state of California. It's still really good, but it's something to keep an eye on. Okay? I'm cheating you out of the content of the slides. Venture capital stress. In 2023, there was $72 billion of venture capital funded in the state of California, which also then went to help pay some of those income taxes. They're thinking that might get cut down to $50 billion, which will be a big challenge, coupled with the $68 billion deficit for the year. Just keep an eye out. And then locally, insurance challenges, low inventory, high demand, and government funding. This is just a word salad of what Americans are feeling and afraid of right now. So, all the global issues combined.
Is there a joyful one coming next?
There is not. Here's the deal. Where do we get from here? Can I do this? Yes. Thank you for reminding me to say something. You are not gonna stumble across joy. You gotta go find it or take responsibility and create it. And it, literally, did I said earlier, my words for this year are enthusiasm and fun. And I'm gonna create it for me. Because everything that's being sold to us this year is being sold through fear. If you watch TV, news, it's all fear-based messages.
Kind of like a new religion,
It's, yes, and we,
you know?
as a species, it does, it always has. We just have more media messages coming at us now. So we have to be intentional about blocking them out, but then go finding or creating the things that bring us joy. It's on us to do that. The reality is we still exist in this context. That's what I told the escrow officers last time, and they weren't too happy with me. Because they're not hearing it. Some of you have heard this from me before. You're leaders of people. You are leading your teams, you're leading your buyers and sellers. If this is the context everybody in the world is sharing, right? It's the level playing field. What's the psychology of most of the people you're gonna be interacting with? Negative, scared, fight, flight, freeze. And you have to lead them. So how do you have to show up?
Enthusiastic.
Not in fight, flight, or flee. You have to be able to hold the space for them to help them move forward. Which means take control of your own joint motion, take control of your self-care so you can show up with those shoulders. That's what professionals do. It's what leaders do. This is just the context. You get to create your own conditions. All right, national influences, contentious election year. Economy still an easy probability. There's the numbers, you guys are gonna get the slideshow, so don't worry about it. But there's the numbers in case you didn't write it down. What is more concerning, because it's a condition, so these local conditions are more of a concern for me as a business owner in real estate. I can't do anything about fire season. It's an entire season now here almost annually. Yes?
Yeah.
So how does that impact us? Well, I do live in East County where gas may be cheaper, but we can't get insurance. We are very limited in the insurance we can get because of the risk of wildfires. I'm on California Fair Plan, if you guys know what that is. I'm very fortunate to have it. Many of my neighbors have been canceled on, and then they go find a new insurer, and it's 3 or 4 times what they were already paid. And we don't get it cheap anyway. All of San Diego County, not just East County, is high fire zone. So if you haven't felt this yet, you may. And if we get an active fire season this year, we got really lucky in 2023. We had a couple out there, but they were small. They didn't have anything big. If a big one hits, what happens to your listings in escrow? Well, nobody's willing to write insurance when there's an active fire burning, so you're gonna get delayed if not canceled. So it's a condition we have to deal with, we just have to be aware of it. Alright?
Do we have any insurance people that can come in and talk to us?
Can you make a note, Evie? I wanna bring somebody in, because in researching this, we, as a county, and I did not know this, so another rosy, not so rosy. San Diego County is one of the top 10 lowest, I don't think that's how I should say that. One of the worst 10 counties in the country for preparedness to react to major earthquakes or fires.
For anything. Road rage.
Is it? I was shocked, there's a map that shows you that, and, what's it, there's a societal awareness score, then just the actual, danger of these big things. So we have low hurricane risk, obviously, but we have exceptionally high earthquake risk and wildfire risk. And then the social infrastructure isn't there. And there's a third thing that didn't make sense to me, but maybe next month I'll bring that, or at least I'll post the link. For us and our business, just know, you've gotta solidify the insurance, and if we do end up having wildfires or earthquakes this next year, then, you could have delays in your transactions. The second one reminds me of during the pandemic. How many of you stood in line for toilet paper? You did not? Wow.
I left this meeting on the 19th and just got me a pack at Costco. I was good.
You were good? You're good.
Yeah.
Was there anything you might have gone shopping for between March and August of 2020 that was not on the shelves? That's how everything was. Well, that's now our housing inventory. So when I went to Food for Less to get toilet paper and we were bidding with each other on how much we would pay for the toilet paper, that's what's happening to housing prices. It's what has been happening. But I do truly believe, because those interest rates are coming down slightly, between January and July, we're gonna see that like it was in 2021.
Yeah, one ply rough
Ow.
We're gonna see our prices go way up, because, right now, because we will have multiple offers on the still very constrained supply that we've got. Our demand just went up, because more people are in the market, because the interest rates came down slightly. But sellers haven't gone, except maybe in this room, most sellers haven't gotten off the fence and said, we're gonna list it. So that's constraining the supply, while the demand just popped up a little bit. Does that make sense? All right, and then the last one, being in a military town, every time the Senate, Congress talking about possible government shutdowns, I freeze a little bit, because we feel government shutdowns more as a city than most in the country. How many bases do we have in San Diego? How many federally government jobs do we have? We've had a few shutdowns in the last 10 years, and San Diego kind of comes to a standstill. And again, being in our business, how many of our loans are federally backed loans? We can't close anything if the government shuts down. So we will feel those. Again, something I'll keep my eyes on, but it's a looming threat. So what happened last year? Again, you guys will get all of these. The important part on this slide is to look pre-pandemic. So our normal market ended in 2019. 2020 and 2021 were the two best years for residential real estate in the history of our country. Probably will stand as that forever.
Yeah.
So they're not, those years aren't fair to compare to. So pre-pandemic, if we look back at 2019, we have lost almost 40% of our market in terms of saleable units. Okay. What does that mean? It means inevitably the number of agents in our industry locally is going to shrink. The number of real estate companies is going to shrink. The number of escrow companies and lenders have already shrunk. When you have 40% of your market disappear, it can only sustain about 60% of the agents and the companies that were there before. Does that make sense? Now, the projections are locally, we'll see a significant gain in units this year. So let's say we gain another 10 or 20%. Still puts us far behind the numbers of 2019. So you will start seeing, especially with dues being due, anybody getting outbid by SDAR yet?
Yes.
Oh yeah. They wanna know, where you renewing?
Can you go back up quick, actually?
Yep. Okay, so this was as of Monday morning. What we currently have available for houses under and over $1 million, what's pending and what has sold in the last 30 days. The trend is downward, so I always use these to go, okay, December, we had basically 410 closed houses under $1 million. We're gonna have fewer than that in January. This is just showing us what is coming. Our inventory, our available inventory is excessively low, but you will start hearing, oh, it's so built up. But, yeah, exactly, from what? That's condos. This is where the escrow officers were so shocked. How many of you, this is your first stat meeting? So a couple of you, alright, so, Lynn, this is your first one? This is your first one?
First decade?
Stat meeting?
Oh, no, it's not.
No, okay.
Sorry.
It's like, I'm sure, okay. The population of San Diego County is 3.3 million people. 3.3 million. And right now, in all of San Diego County, so from the top of Oceanside down through Otay, all the way out to Pine Valley and beyond, we only have roughly 800 condos available total.
Question, in a good economy, what that number be?
That's a great question. So it's not so much an economy. What I'll tell you is normal.
Market.
When we were a healthy market, anywhere between 10 and 14,000 available listings every month. Right now, we have a total of about 2,000. So it's gonna be a long time, if ever, that we see that again, but that's when we were really healthy, and we know we have the demand to eat that kind of inventory up. We just don't have a way to supply that kind of inventory. Which is why our prices have gone up so fast and will continue to go up so fast. The same number of people who have wanted to buy in San Diego every year want to buy in San Diego every year. We just don't have the housing supply to feed them So they're bidding it up like toilet paper. That's why I'm using that analogy. You got one roll of toilet paper, how much you willing to spend? That's what's been happening, it's just gonna be more accelerated. Yes,
Okay, so you know I have some students here, so I'm gonna find a joy for you and for them right now. It doesn't matter that it's only 2,000 right now and it should be 10 to 14. I don't need to go 2,000 a month, let alone a year,
Oh, yeah.
to be
Okay.
sitting pretty, let alone 10 to 14. You can still do it if you work.
Yeah.
when we get to the slide that shows total inventory, that's what I want you to take away from it. If you know what your goals are, is there anybody in here who has more than a 50-unit goal for yourself this year? No, okay, shocking. Everybody in here has the capacity to close 50 units this year. So if your goal is 20, certainly the market's gonna support that and you have the capacity to do it. It's just in comparison to where we were. The good thing for students, brand new people, the luckiest people in the room. Because you don't have to go, oh, we were just doing it upstairs in our mastermind. I had my best year in 2021. Yeah, you and every other realtor. The market made you look really good. Don't compare your success now to that. It wasn't real.
It's just so easy.
It wasn't easy, but it was hard in a different way. The work now, so you guys know, to give you historical context, those 2 years, 2020 and 2021, from an agent's perspective, I actually used you last time as an example. They were so hard because you were in response mode and you had to be fine. You had to see a house in the days, if not the hour it was listed, to even have a shot, and then you basically had to give a puppy with purchase.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy, but it was hard in a different way.
Right, it was different, that's all.
Here's where there was a benefit to it. The business was coming to you.
At least you got paid for it.
The business was coming to you. The business itself, transacting the business was the hard part. Where you have to put the effort in now is in generating the business, which you all suck at most times anyway.
Thank you.
Because it's not,
That's true.
it's not,
True.
how many of you have ever played dodgeball? How many of you are good at it?
I got you.
Let's go.
When you're playing a sport like that, the point is not to get hit. So what do? You respond to the ball coming and you get out of the way. As humans, we're good at responding. How good are we at being proactive? Why? Especially in our business, if you've been coming to the staff meeting for a while, you'll notice I didn't put 90 days out. 90 days out is about tax time. We're already in April for taxes. Oh.
Now, taxes on
It's so difficult if you don't make it fun, and I'm gonna use that word, fun and exciting to do your lead gen, to sustain it for 90 days until you get paid. You have to be that proactive, because what you're doing now isn't gonna show up in your bank account for that long. That's hard. That's what's hard in real estate. Yes?
Yeah.
So make it fun. All right, so new listings last year brought to market. This is the entire year. Just shows you we brought 10,000 fewer listings to market, essentially, than the year previous. If you're bringing that many fewer, they've been taken out of the rotation. You can't sell them. You can't sell what isn't listed. Now, here's the really exciting part, seriously exciting. We have now been in this, the market literally shifted July 2022. So we rode a high through 2021 and half of 2022, and then the brakes went on because the rates started going up over and over again. And we were in kind of that holding pattern for the last 18 months. Those people who would have sold in the last 18 months froze. Their desire to sell didn't go away. It just got paused. So at some point, that pause button is gonna come off and they're gonna come to market. It will happen. Do I know when? I think a lot of it's gonna happen before June. And then we'll have a little bit of pause because of the politics, June through the end of the year. But we'll start seeing that ease up, like now. I think you are seeing it. That's why we have so many listings. take advantage of it. Visually, this just shows you where last year, 2023 is the yellow bar compared to the 2 years previous. Every single price point, we listed fewer properties. What's important here is that our sub $400,000 property is disappearing. In order, in the entire year of 2023, only 824 properties were listed. That's condo and house, under 824. I'm sorry, 400,000, there's only 824 listed.
Well, that's what you said, it's gonna
They're
disappear.
just gonna disappear. I now think by the end of 2024, we may not have anything at all. It just won't exist because all those $400,000 prices are now 500 because the demand's pushing it up. So this is the message I've given you guys a lot, and last night I counted it, buy a freaking property. I don't care what you have to do. If 10 of you in this room need to get together and pull your pennies, go do it. I'm serious.
I don't wanna do that alone.
Heads out.
Yeah, say that out.
So here's what's sold, same thing's happening. Yellow is last year, if we list it, it sells, essentially is what that's showing you. Different ways to show it. This one I put up here, this is gonna be interesting in about the end of March. I'll be able to compare last year's realtor numbers with this year's, because they don't, if you don't renew your dues, they don't drop you off the rolls until the end of March. So that's when they have the new realtor counts. But if 11,000 paychecks disappeared last year, which is what this is showing, 11,202 sides commission checks were subtracted from the market last year. We started the year last year with, I believe, 26,000 realtors, and 11,000 sides were taken away.
Wait, is that countywide?
Yeah, that's all of San Diego County.
Say it again.
We started the year with 26,000 realtors between all the associations. And 11,000 not transactions, but sides of transactions were taken off the market. We listed, let me go back. Does anybody remember how close were you paying attention?
24,417.
We listed 24,417 properties, we had 26,000 realtors. There we go.
So how many of us sold 10 and
Well,
more?
no. In general, we only have about 5,000 of those who have been selling property. But that's also when we had a higher unit count. So that unit count is going to impact the people going, should I pay the $800 or not? If I haven't closed a deal in 3 years and I just kind of renewed and hope that one comes along, maybe year 4 are not gonna do that. That's good news for you guys.
Yeah.
Because there'll be less competition at the agent level. That's great news for our industry. I'd like to give them a list of people that they shouldn't like. Okay, by price point, all the way down to 200, awarding, I did look at each one of these. These are houses listed at the SDMLS in each price point. Everything under 400,000 is manufactured or mobile. Even though the realtors put it in the single family detached, I know, don't let me get me started. They are on the list to be expelled from the industry.
Thank you, bye.
But that, right now, there are no houses, stick-built, traditional houses in San Diego County under 400,000, doesn't exist. There's some lovely condos where you just lease the land, but, and not their cabins. There's the active condos. So sad to me, 3 in the county under 200,000. So that's gonna be condos, we won't have condos under 400,000 either.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Our absorption rates in most price points, well over 80%. I took the slide out that defines seller's market. A seller's market is any time we have absorption over 20%. So So truly, until I die, we're probably gonna have a seller's market in San Diego. Because we have to hit 19% or less to be a buyer's market, and that's where the numbers are.
So would you recommend to new agents to maybe cultivate listings?
Always, in our industry, you always wanna cultivate listings. At the same time, when the unit counts go down this low, you service everybody who deserves for your level of service. Because when those buyers who buy now, you talk about being a rock star, you get somebody, if you can have as much passion about, as I do about you guys buying houses for your clients, you get somebody into a house now, and they think they maybe overpay a little bit, and 5 years down the road, they've made 10% every year, and you can say, I'm so happy I've helped you make $100,000 in.
You're welcome.
If they buy $1 million house, they do that in a year. All right, new listings brought to market, just look, we've never had a lower month ever for houses, ever in the history. This goes back 10 years, but you go back all the way to the beginning of the MLS in the late 90s. We listed fewer houses in December than we ever had. Slightly more, 8 more condos than last December. Which then just forecasts that January is gonna have most slower closings, and February might have slower closings until this new listing inventory comes to the market. Pendings, down. Solds, they gotta follow those trends. Median sales price, couple important slides here. So, for those of you who've been coming to this meeting for a while, we talked about in November of 2022, people were going, you know what, we're gonna wait for the market. We're gonna wait for the market to crash. And there was a blip, just a blip in November of 2022, where prices came down a tad. The low point of last year was actually January. So January of 23 was the low point of 22. But look what happened December over December. So the numbers I put here are December of 2022. Obviously, that's December of 2023. How much value on average did we add in a 12-month period? When are prices coming down? They may in a 30-day period. Over a 12-month period, we have not had a time where they didn't come back and continue to go up. We thought the apex was the best market historically ever seen. We thought the apex was gonna be June 21. Well, we're past that. Except for the seasonal dip, we'll be right back on top of it. That's the median, here's the average. Same. And this is where you have the evidence to say, over the last 10 years, we have consistently shown at least 10% gains a year, which is why I need you guys to get into property. Because every year you're missing that, you're missing a free $100,000. Based on the average sales price, you're missing $120,000 a year in increased equity. So if you do put 5 friends together and you go in on that, okay, so you only make 25,000 instead of the entire 120. Get into something. Median market time, just for perspective, in December, it averaged 17 days, which can feel like an eternity when we had 2 or 3 days. But the reality is, last year actually was higher. We just have short-term memories. Last December, it was much higher than it was this December. And then if you go back to 2018, it was same. December, properties sit a little bit longer. Average list price to sales price ratio is, thank God, remaining healthy. Anything between 97 and 100% is healthy. Price per square foot. Just a visual to remind you, as long as inventory stays low, prices are going to climb fast. The sustainable now anticipated appreciation annually is 10% in San Diego County. Over the years, and if you go to family reunion, you'll hear Gary talk about the numbers. Does anybody know what the average annual appreciation is over the last 30 years?
6%?
4 to 6%.
Nationwide.
That's the nationwide average. We're twice that. And we have proven now over 11 years that's sustainable. That trend started in 2012. All right, so beyond 2024, we got some stuff going on in our industry. Real estate tends to be a very conservative, slow to change industry. The biggest innovation we've seen since I've been in the business, and I got in 99, I got in just as we were getting away from MLS books and to an actual computerized MLS. So for those of you children in the room, we literally, the office would get one printed MLS book a week. And every listing was in it. Obviously couldn't leave the office. Yes? And then it was like, oh my God, we're going to computer. And there was, by the way, a tremendous amount of pushback against going from the book to the computer. And then in the mid-2000s, we changed MLS systems, and it was like the end of the world. Do you remember that?
Oh, God.
Oh, I remember that.
Every time you go through a moderate, the book to computer was a big change. But anytime our industry goes through moderate changes like that, it's like the sky is falling, the world is coming to an end. Because in general, it's a conservative industry. So those are the biggest innovations we've had in my entire career. And here we are on the precipice of forced innovation. We have no idea what it's gonna look like. To me, that's actually really exciting. Because I believe we're in business with the smartest people who are willing to take the biggest risks, and that's what it's gonna take as we power through massive innovation that's happening to us and hopefully for us and through us. So that's what I'm looking forward to 12 months, 18 months, 24 months from now, is who are we gonna have to become to remain the dominant players? Because it's gonna look totally different. And a lot of that is the shakeup that's going on at NAR. It is the lawsuit, the results of the lawsuit, and the multiple lawsuits Sarah was talking about. The first one that got settled, or that the jury decided in the plaintiff's favor, gonna end up costing NAR, Home Services of America, and Keller Williams Realty about $6 billion with a B. It's a lot of money for those three organizations to take. They are gonna appeal it, and we won't have an outcome of that for probably 3 to 5 years, because our court system is so slow. But is it gonna have an impact? Well, funny, it's having an impact right now. As soon as the jury came back, like literally the next morning, the jury came back and said that, yes, those companies owe those sellers. Those same attorneys went and filed against all the other real estate companies they didn't mention the first time around. So Compass, EXP, all these other companies are now looking down the barrel going, oh crap, what are we gonna do? These companies that are bigger than us just got a $6 billion slap on the wrist. What may change? I don't know, but I know human behavior, and people will change a lot of things to avoid that. That make sense? Top of that, unfortunately, there are attorneys who are doing copycat lawsuits, and thank God so far I've not heard of anybody in California, but in other states, they're suing individual agents and teams for that commission dispute. So what happens? Some attorney says, I'm gonna name these top 15 agents in San Diego County in this lawsuit. Would there be impacts? There could be some positive impacts, by the way. The reality is things are going to change. So if we get to get excited about it and be part of that change or be a victim of it, I'm excited about being a part of it. Commissions over time are gonna change. I don't know what that means. It could simply mean that you're gonna have a buyer rep agreement where the buyer agrees to pay you. Could mean that they get constricted a little bit. Don't know. It's going to change. Packing, whew. This one does scare me, because I don't know that we know what we have to do to avoid this. I didn't know a whole lot until December, and I just read more up on it. In escrow, we were involved in a transaction that First American Title had. Sorry, guys, but it's not just you, and I'm gonna make that really clear as I did last night. And honestly, I'm gonna kind of speak out of my rear end, because nothing's being disclosed about this. But something happened at First American on a national level where they were hacked.
It happened at Fidelity a few weeks before that.
About a month before. That's what
Home
I meant.
Depot
It's not-
on Monday.
So here you go. Fidelity National Title, First American Title, two of the biggest companies in the space in the world. And Loan Depot?
Loan Depot.
Loan Depot, again. Well, First American was shut down for 3 weeks.
Was there a
And
cancel?
we don't have, the details aren't being disclosed. I'm gonna guess because there's still like ongoing investigation. What I know, because I have to sign on the checks for escrow, is we closed something on December 21st, and the seller nor the agents could get their money until yesterday. I feel so bad for you
Thank
guys.
you.
I actually reached out to Grady and said, are you okay? Because that was one deal, you had hundreds.
He actually mentioned that you reached out to him, so thank you.
And that was national.
Yeah.
So when you've got companies, put the elephant there, when you've got companies that big who are that, you guys are already tech protected. You've got incredible IT departments that have locked stuff down and something still happened. We are all at risk of this. I would highly encourage, and I told the escrow officers last night, because the next week, by the way, one of our buyers called in and said, oh, I got your email, Nicole, where do you want me to wire the money? She didn't send an email. And that's super easy. Somebody just goes fishing. So each and every one of us is at risk of that, and it's getting better and better. They're getting better and better. Imagine going to chat GPT right now and saying, hey, give me a fake earnest money deposit form for escrow in California.
Yeah.
It'd make it for you like that. Much better than the emails that are coming through with typos, thank God.
Right.
So that's just gonna increase. We need to be very smart in how we proceed. So I did tell the escrow officers, I would call to verify every single wiring instruction, period. And they said, well, literally in the Q&A, one of the escrow officers said, well, how do you deal with your realtors who go, well, First American doesn't make me do that, so I'm gonna give my escrow business to them. I said, I wouldn't work with the agent. So as agents associated with me, hear this please, your escrow officers wanna protect you, let them do their jobs,
Agents are pushing back because escrow is.
because it's too hard, it's too many steps.
Insane. I prefer it like that.
Yeah. So, I assume everybody in this room.
Because my
knows
people
that.
almost wired 60K on closing day on Christmas Eve, the day before,
Yeah.
to a scammer.
Well, we have to tell the story, as agents, we have to tell the story, and then we have to be supportive of other people trying to hold the line in the industry. Because, and I told them anecdotally, this was maybe 5 years ago, an agent in Oklahoma at a Keller Williams forwarded escrow or wiring instructions to their buyer. They were fake wiring instructions. She didn't know that. She was on the hook for the $160,000. The agent was, because she forwarded something that wasn't real, and the courts determined she was responsible for knowing whether or not it was real. Okay, so maybe just CYA. You're never too big to be nimble, so this is the First American Fidelity. If they can turn on a dime and do what they need to do professionally to stay relevant and survive something like that, we can do that. We have to. And then think about things differently. If we don't, everything you've known about real estate is about to change. Just know that. Be open to possibility. Don't be certain about anything, and be excited about it. It truly is an exciting time. We're about to see the market come back and feed us more deals, and we're right at that precipice of massive change. Don't resist it. Don't freeze. Questions? Quiet.
interest rates coming down, you still aren't predicting many people will list because they've got the.
A lot of
super low?
people will just stay for a while. There's a lot of pent-up demand. I know it, you guys know it. You've got clients who would love to sell and to get into something else, they can't justify it right now. I think if we stay in the low sixes, and anytime we pop below 6, we're gonna see people springboard.
Even sellers, ready to.
Sellers, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Historically, again, on average, people sellers move, meaning they sell their property and move on, every 5 to 7 years. That's historical average over the last 30 years. It's now 10 to 12 years, but it's been kind of a forced pause. Yeah? So just like buyer demand, it pins up and then we'll just. The good news is, if we could quadruple our inventory, we would have no pressure on prices to come down because we have that much demand. So we're insulated.
And when sellers sell, the ones that are waiting are usually trying to buy something else in
They're
this
gonna buy
county, so it's.
Well, and so the other thing, because it's all over, again, fear sells, this exodus from California. There actually is. We have a negative net migration for the last 2 years, and it's increasing. Yes, in the state,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
not in San Diego. There's a lot of parts of California I wouldn't wanna live in. Anybody driven through Barstow?
A lot.
You're paying these taxes for what? You don't have the weather. Right? So a lot of those people, when Northern California counties, they're decreasing in size. It's still not a lot. Last year we lost 400,000 people in the state. Can you take 400,000 out of San Diego? I'd be so thrilled. And our prices wouldn't go down with 500,000 people leaving. So that migration out of San Diego, not happening. 20, 30, 40 years from now, with climate change, maybe, it is not happening now.
Do you know what our net positive is? Here?
Our 100% of our net positive is from new births. It's not migration in, but people are not leaving.
Got it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a suggestion for listing appointments to help you get a leg up. You notice on Ashley's slide, our sales price to list price, we're at about 98%
Yeah.
on everything. Now, because of the coaching that we've had here in the way we price things, typically, probably most of us have averages that are higher than that. The way Amy said she's pricing, the way Emily said she's pricing, we've all kind of been following that. So you might want to go through the MLS and pull your listings and your own stats, because when I did it recently, before we ended up going crazy, I'm about 14% above. So when you go on a listing appointment and you're able to say, the average in the county is 98%, and my personal stats in the last, pick it, 3 years, 5 years, whatever works for you, so my price may be a little bit lower than what other agents are telling you, but this is what will happen. I just, when I saw that, I thought, I lost the listing appointment the other day, so I'm just racking my brain of all the ways I can put a leg up, and that's one that I just wanted to say out loud.
No, and that's great, because then you have the evidence. It's not emotional.
Yeah, it's statistically.
And to add on top of what Susan was saying, you can also use that when you are asking for a 6% commission. You're not selling it at 2% less, you're selling it for 14% more, so that 6% is insignificant
That's
on the
right.
commission that you're charging, or 7 or whatever that you charge. You're gonna more than make up that difference to them in the way you're gonna help them negotiate their sales price.
And you're not trying to hide anything, I mean, I know our percentages will blow out of the water, so I'm purposely pricing low, and you're explaining that to them.
Let's not even convince them to price low.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And to go with you, if you're coming in at a lower price than another agent.
100%.
And don't give away your commissions, that's who I'm losing this stuff, and people, all I can say is, listen, that's who's gonna be negotiating for you, and if that's comfortable for you, I wish you luck, but, I'm pissed, can you tell?
We can't get all of them. We need to work proactively to get enough at-bats, so we get as many as we need. That's it. Mike, are you still in here? Did he leave?
He just left.
Damn it. We had a mastermind earlier, and we were just asking, what's worked for you? And he said he had a horrible 2022. He was at about 2022. He was at about 50% of where he usually is. And he was determined last year not to have another year like that.
Yes.
So he worked 3 times as hard, and he had one of his best years ever. Because he created it.
And
These-
his 3 times as hard is consistent.
3 hours a
3
day.
hours a day, 5 days a week, lead generation from 9 to noon.
And he said, and if I do that, I get to do whatever I want in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I have my best year ever.
And they use
This-
those tests.
It's not that difficult.
It's
is it?
not rocket science.
And if you need a good book to unfuck yourself,
It's unfucking
it's unfuck yourself. I just finished it.
All right, any final questions? Y'all have shared, stay 4 minutes. God, thank you.